Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Anupama, Professor at Department of Economics, Punjabi University, Patiala. I am going to talk about module Word City Debate from Population, Urbanization and Poverty. So students, we are going to discuss about the concepts and the characteristics of the word city. We will also discuss the level of competitiveness of the word cities by different ranking agencies. In a globalized world, the competition is perfect in an open economy, where there is perfect information and perfect mobility of factors as well as that of the commodities. The labor and capital are free to move where they get the optimum prices. So is the case with commodities. But the traditional view of a competitive market assumes homogeneity of all the markets, especially in the long run. However, the process of globalization, though, is principally based upon the free play of the markets, but it is so complicated and is embedded with several interwoven processes that the homogeneity is nearly absent from all the processes. The process of global transformation operates in a multi-layered way. The ability of the nations to regulate these processes determines the impact of the globalization on various economies, which is definitely not similar across countries. But it is quite evident that instead of spatial dispersal of the market processes, there have been agglomeration of those in a few favored places or sectors or markets or the cities. This has led to a debate around the causes or determinants of the centralization of major economic activities around a certain center. As a result, the idea of word city and global city came forth. Although the term word city is not a new term and had been used for last many centuries, but the dimensions that had been added to this term in the recent years can entirely be attributed to the current phase of globalization. Actually, this is the centralization of these processes that finds the new term that is global city. Hence, this module aims to throw light on the concepts of word city and global city, the debate that revolves around the word city, the main characteristics of word city, global city index and its components, emerging cities outlook, global city competitiveness index, major determinants of increasing the competitiveness of the cities, and the relative rankings of different global cities and emerging cities. Defining a word city and a global city. Word city, also sometimes termed as global city, alpha city, or the word center, is generally a nodal city in the global economic system, which has a strong impact upon socio-economic political affairs at the world level. But in the current scenario, we need to differentiate between the two. The term word city dates back to a 1915 text in which it was defined as being located in a strategic word location. At the same time, such a city would have been a word city in the sense that trade passed through it. Today's global city is more an economic term than a geographic one. Global city is a hub of a variety of international financial services, headquarter of several multinational corporations, trade, manufacturing centers, innovative ideas, global networks, best of education and research institutions, multifunctional infrastructure, offering some of the best legal, medical, and entertainment facilities, and has a considerable decision-making power on a daily basis and at a global level. Though many times the distinction between the word city and global city is hard to find, as the cities with geographic advantage can also be the cities controlling all the economic, social, and political activities. In that sense, the word city can also be a global city. However, Sasson tried to differentiate between the word city and global city by saying that the word cities were referred to the type of city which were seen the centuries in earlier periods in Asia and in European colonial centers. But today's global cities may not be necessarily one of them because as the global economy expanded, it incorporated additional cities into the various networks through which the global functions are performed. But in the present lecture, for simplifying the analysis, such difference is not kept in mind and both the terms are being used as synonyms. Therefore, the word city is considered to be a city which has the dynamics of global activities. According to Hall, a word city is center of political power, both national and international, and of organizations related to government. It is a center of national and international trade, acting as entry points for its country and sometimes for neighboring countries also. It is a center of banking, insurance, and related financial services, of advanced professional activity, of information gathering and diffusion. It is a center of conspicuous consumption. It is also a center of arts, culture, and entertainment. Besides, Jacobs defines them as centers of innovation. Friedman described word cities having three main functions: headquarter functions, financial centers, and articulator cities that link a national or regional economy to a global economy. Now let us discuss about the global city debate. The explanation of the concept of the global city itself shows that the debate regarding the dynamics of the global city revolves around the impact of economic globalization on the urban markets and their resultant controls over rest of the markets. The central subjects of this debate are the impact of globalization on the structure of production and employment and migration of factors to these agglomerating economies. In this respect, Wall has added a few more dimensions. Let us discuss these dimensions one by one. Changing economic base of the cities. The global city debate asserts that the international division of labor leads to change in economic base of the cities in the advanced economies, as with the deregulation of international market and advent of information and communication technology, previously vertically integrated firms in the advanced economies fragment their production process and try to find low-cost production locations. With this outsourcing of the production, the economic base of the cities changes in two ways. First, by deindustrializing in the advanced countries, and second, through clustering of the advanced production services. This leads to fall in industrial employment in the advanced countries. At the same time, these countries also need financial specialists, legal services, and all kind of management support such as accounting, consulting services, etc. Global cities are therefore considered strategic sites for management of the global economy and the production of the most advanced services and financial operations that have become key inputs for that work of managing global economic operations. This is the main issue of the debate if the change in economic base of the cities really resembles the economic base of the global city or not. Polarization, professionalism, and mismatch. It is argued that the clustering of advanced production services in cities yields high labor demand for both the highest and lowest occupational strata, and it is therefore envisaged that in these cities the unemployment rates are lower both for the highly educated professionals and less educated ones. In this context, it is being debated that the cities with high professionalism may not generate sufficient demand for the lowest occupational stratum, and there is a mismatch between labor demand and labor supply at the bottom of the urban labor market, as they have more employment opportunities for the advanced production services. Thus, the impact of clustering of advanced producer services on the unemployment level of less educated urbanites is not clear. The impact of international division of labor and migration. The Global City Theoretical Framework asserts that the outsourcing of the best of production services by the multinational corporations in the global city causes immigration from newly industrialized economies. It is generally argued that the push factors of this immigration to cities in general and to global cities in particular is driven by foreign direct investments. Such investment inflows often lead to outsourcing of the labor from various parts of the world. This migration often flows from the host country to the home country of these capital inflows. However, the impact of these immigrants' inflows on unemployment rates and wages are less researched. Besides, there are other issues which question the impact of the global city dynamics on the social and political processes. Now we can have a look at global cities in today's world. In today's globalized world, all of the factors we have mentioned so far, that is the macroeconomic factors, may have an influence upon economic and political powers of various cities. A.T. Kearney report states that political power is rotating back from west to east, and with economic drivers shifting from agrarian to industrial and then to information-based activities. It has been estimated that while New York, London, Paris, and Tokyo still rank among today's top cities, Beijing and Shanghai are predicted to be significant rivals in the next 10 to 20 years. Let us discuss about Global City Index. A.T. Kearney's Global City Index, or GCI, ranks metropolitan areas of the world according to 25 metrics across 5 dimensions. These 5 dimensions are: number 1, business activity. Business activity with 30% weightage is measured by headquarters of major global corporations, location of top business service firms, the value of the city's capital markets, the number of international conferences, and the flow of goods through ports and airports. The second indicator is that of human capital. This indicator has 30% weightage and evaluates the city's ability to attract talent based upon the size of foreign-born population, quality of universities, number of international schools, international student population, and number of residents with university degree. The third indicator of GCI is information exchange. With a weight of 15%, this indicator examines the degree of circulation of news and information within and outside the city. This indicator is based upon the sub-indices of accessibility, to major television channels, internet presence, number of international news bureaus, freedom of expression, and broadband subscriber rate. The fourth indicator is that of cultural experience. With weight of 15%, this indicator includes number of major sporting events hosted by the city, number of museums, performing arts venues, diverse culinary establishments, number of international travelers, etc. The fifth indicator is that of political engagement. With the weight of 10%, this assesses the influence of the city on global policy dialogue. This is measured by the number of embassies and consulates, major think tanks, international organizations, and local institutions with international reach, and the number of political conferences hosted by the city. This index was initiated by A.T. Kearney along with Emerging Cities Outlook in 2008. Initially, the GCI was framed for the 60 cities, and then it was extended to 84 cities, and the ECO includes the ranking of 34 emerging cities. The ECO measures the potential of a city to become global in the future. The ECO includes the indicators of human capital, business activity, and innovations. Now we can have a brief view of Emerging City Outlook or ECO. The Emerging City Outlook measures a city's rate of change determined by evaluating 8 leading indicators grouped into strengths and vulnerabilities for the cities in countries that the World Bank has qualified as medium or low-income countries. These indicators are most likely to influence a city's capacity to attract, retain, and generate flow of ideas, capital, and people. The strengths. These are measured by 4 indicators: infrastructure, country's ease of doing business, gross domestic product, and middle class growth. And then there are some vulnerabilities. The vulnerabilities are also calculated by 4 indicators that are instability, the country's health system, corruption, and the pollution levels. The Global City Index and Emerging City Outlook rank show that top 5 cities have retained their rank consistently between 2008 and 2014. Among the top 20 countries, 7 are in Asia and Pacific region. These are Tokyo, Hong Kong, Beijing, Singapore, Seoul, Sydney, and Shanghai. 7 are in Europe. These are London, Paris, Brussels, Madrid, Vienna, Moscow, and Berlin. And 6 are in America. These are New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, Washington, Toronto, and Buenos Aires. Beijing is at the 8th position, breaks into top 10 for the first time. Its upscaling in the rank has been possible due to increase in number of Fortune 500 companies, international schools, broadband subscribers, and museums, while Buenos Aires became the first Latin American city to join the top 20 based on the strength of its human capital and cultural scene. On the other hand, among the emerging cities, 4 Indian cities have marked their presence. Jakarta, Manila, Addis Ababa, Sao Paulo, and New Delhi are ranked as the top 5 emerging cities. Among all the metrics, it has been observed that human capital score has registered the highest increase along with increase in business activity and increase in information exchange scores. The A.T. Kearney report of 2014 indicated that between 2008 and 2014, the 4 indicators of GCI, viz. Business activity, human capital, information exchange, and cultural experience, have shown the improvement, while there has been decline in the value of the indicator of political engagement. However, the indicators of human capital and cultural performance have led to convergence among major cities, while the indicators of business activity, information exchange, and political engagement have contributed to divergences in average values of the overall score of the GCI. Further, in case of emerging cities outlook, it has been observed that in order to improve the global positioning, the emerging cities must focus especially on strengthening business activity and human capital. 2014 ranking show that Jakarta, Manila, and Addis Ababa have the lowest distance from being a global city. New Delhi in the 5th place, Mumbai in the 8th position, and Bangalore in the 11th position among the Indian cities appear to be reaping the benefits of cities' global services industry and its greater openness to the global economy. The distance from world innovation leaders is shrinking rapidly, and significant advances in human capital and business activity are also being made. Finally, this index suggests that by focusing on the elements that contribute to the generation, attraction, and retention of global capital, people, and ideas, the GCI and ECO can be powerful tools. Therefore, the policymakers can have a deeper insight about the areas which should be focused upon. Similarly, for the big businesses, the global city status can be instrumental in guiding them to decide about their favored location of investment. The countries which wish to provide their citizens with the benefits of becoming a global economic power have to focus upon improving all the metrics of GCI and ECO. Now we can discuss about global city competitiveness. Today, the global business has started to plan strategy from a city rather than a country perspective. Given the rapid growth and development of many cities, competition between them for business, investment, and talent will only get fiercer. While some megacities such as New York and Tokyo are still immensely influential, there are smaller ones such as Hong Kong and Singapore, which have established themselves as globally competitive centers in recent years. Competitiveness is a holistic concept. While economic size and growth are important, several other factors determine a city's overall competitiveness, including its business and regulatory environment, the quality of human capital, and indeed the quality of life. The Economist Intelligence Unit, commissioned by Citigroup, has developed a global city competitive index to rank cities according to their demonstrated ability to attract capital, business, talent, and visitors. The Global City Competitiveness Index, or GCCI, is a weighted average of 8 main indicators, which we can discuss in the following discussion. The first indicator is that of economic strength. With a 30% weight, it includes the market size, purchasing power of the residents, and growth prospects. The second indicator is that of human capital. This indicator has a weight of 15%. In GCCI, it calculates the size of working age population, quality of education and healthcare, entrepreneurial and risk-taking mindset among citizens, and ease of hiring foreign nationals. The third indicator is that of institutional effectiveness. With a weight of 15%, this indicator examines the stability of regulations, predictability, and fairness of political processes, and effectiveness of the system. Local governments' fiscal autonomy and government effectiveness were weighted relatively higher within this category. The fourth indicator of GCCI is financial maturity. This indicator has a weight of 10%. It is evaluated on basis of the breadth and depth of the city as a financial cluster, covering various industry segments such as asset management, investment banking, insurance, professional services, and wealth management. The fifth indicator is that of global appeal. With a weight of 10%, it studies the attractiveness of each city by considering the presence of globally renowned institutions, that is, Fortune 500 companies, world-renowned think tanks, top universities and colleges, which are headquartered in the city and have their international orientation. The sixth component of GCCI is physical capital. With a weight of 10%, this indicator reflects the availability of and access to developed and efficient infrastructure such as road networks, international links, public transport, and communications. The next indicator is that of environment and natural hazards. With a weight of 5%, this indicator examines the city government's commitment to maintain environmental standards by collecting data on codes, standards, and strategies related to air, water, and waste. This city also includes natural disaster hazard risk. The eighth component is of social and cultural character of the city. With a weight of 5%, this indicator encompasses several livability aspects that add dynamics to a city. Cultural vibrancy of the city has a potential to develop the creative industries cluster, which in turn generates greater economic benefits through the multiplier effects. The latest ranking on GCCI of the top 20 cities shows that New York, London, and Singapore are the top 3 cities in the overall scope. However, when we look at the various indicators with economic strength, physical capital, financial maturity, and institutional effectiveness, the ranking for the top cities is different. New York has the 4th rank in economic strength, 24th rank in physical capital, 1st rank in financial maturity, 10th rank in institutional effectiveness, 2nd place in social and cultural character, 18th rank in human capital, and 8th rank in global appeal. These indicators suggest that the whole of the word city debate is actually to ease or promote the business. The cities compete with each other for attracting more of global investment flows, skills, and talents. However, no city can hold an absolute advantage in every dimension that could matter to a prospective investor. A manufacturer seeking cheap land, good shipping links, and a lower cost workforce will inevitably be attracted to a different city than a technology firm seeking highly skilled graduates to develop their next generation products. Even firms in the same sector, such as consumer goods, will find different cities appealing. Luxury brands will consider the purchasing power and taste of local residents, while a low-cost mobile phone handset maker might focus on raw population growth as a key metric. Of course, while nearly all cities strive for growth, it is also clear that growth can come in many different forms, which in turn affects a city's future competitiveness. However, each of the factors mentioned above may have different impact on improving the relative status of each of the city. Here, we can discuss a few relationships. Now we can discuss the debate regarding improving competitiveness of the global cities. The relative power of cities shifts only gradually. The development of infrastructure, is considered to be the important determinant of this shift. However, the core infrastructure that shapes and defines urban landscapes, like metro lines, skyscrapers, stadiums, universities, airports, and other physical geology, evolves over decades. Developed markets are in part termed as such because they largely have this infrastructure in place. This gives them a huge advantage in terms of their physical assets when compared to new cities around the world. Even though physical capital has only a weight of 10% on the overall weight of GCCI, yet its indirect effects on the overall indicators are immense. This leads to a positive correlation between the physical capital and overall score of the GCCI, showing that higher doses of physical capital leads to higher rank in competitiveness as the overall score improves. Another important determinant of improving the competitiveness of city is considered to be improvements in human capital scores. Many firms fight to attract highly educated and skilled workers and therefore choose the cities which have a great potential of talented pool. Accordingly, the global picture of city competitiveness swings sharply towards developed world cities. They hold a clear advantage in various factors such as the quality of both education and healthcare, as well as the relative attractiveness of their environments. From the data on overall scores of GCCI and the respective scores of human capital, we can easily find a strong positive correlation between the two. Finally, it is being debated if the size of the city measured as the population size has any role in determining the competitiveness of the city. Many top rankers in the competitiveness may not have been the top rankers in population size. Tokyo is the megacity of nearly 37 million. Singapore has about 5 million, while Zurich has just over 1 million, yet they all rank in top 10 most competitive cities. Many debate that size of the population matters a lot in placing a city as a global one. In a city with huge population size, firms have a bigger and more diverse workforce to draw on, as well as greater demand for their products and services. It is also argued that cities with greater size of population get increasing returns to scale in terms of patents filed, per capita income, and so on. On the other hand, it is also argued that in many other regards, size can also hinder competitiveness, especially if not properly planned. There are examples of many Latin American cities that have expanded rapidly ahead of the capacity of these cities to adapt and grow. This hampers growth. Similarly, we can also compare Hong Kong and Mexico City. Both are large cities of 7 million and nearly 24 million people respectively. However, while Hong Kong is highly competitive, which is at 4th rank along with China, Mexico City is at 71st, is far less too. Thus, from several such contrasting examples, it is being realized that if increasing size of population leads to huge cost of congestion, problems with mobility and problems in the labor market, then the advantages of agglomeration of the economy would not be enough. So, size brings advantages only if it is carefully planned. The greater size of population may have the positive impact on the competitiveness score of a city. But this relationship may not be a significant one. The figure also shows that this relationship is quite weak. Thus, it is being projected that to truly become globally competitive, the emerging cities will need to work hard to develop softer aspects beyond just growth. Therefore, they had to work hard on their institutional effectiveness, social character, financial maturity, and global appeal. These cities will be competing not only amongst themselves but also against cities in the developed world which have legacy advantages such as strong educational and infrastructural foundations which has been built up over several decades. So students, let us summarize what we have learned from this module. To sum up, it can be stated that in today's globalized world, the population is increasingly being urbanized. All the socio-economic, political, and cultural activities are finding their centers in the cities only. At the same time, the big business also looks at a number of desirable characteristics before making any decision of long-term investment in a particular city. The cities also vie with each other as acquiring the status of world city or global city, which means opening of many opportunities which lead to a long term towards prosperity. Currently, we have a number of reports and indicators which rank different cities on basis of their relative endowments on a number of aspects which any business wants to have. On the other hand, the cities try to improve their performance on these indicators so that best of the business enterprises can be attracted to the city. Thus, in order to improve their ranks on GCI, ECO, GCCI, etc., these cities try to strengthen their physical as well as human capital, institutional arrangements, and information system, along with increasing participation in cultural and political activities. Thus, whole of the global city debate in the current scenario has been centered on finding the soft targets of poor performance and finding strategies to improve upon them. That's all with today's lecture. I hope you must have enjoyed it. Thank you.